Say you want to tackle steep climbs just like we have today in the Vuelta, Join Cycling has workouts and training plans just for that, to prepare you to enjoy them more and get faster on the bike. You can check it out 30 days free through my link down below. But this was the fourth stage from Plasencia to Pico Viercas. And we have the first uphill finish of this year's Vuelta a España already coming on stage 4. It had 2 climbs at the start where I thought maybe a strong break could go, but then the finish, 3Ks at 13.5% on a goat track to Pico Viercas. But the breakaway was only 5 riders, strong riders, but 5 riders nonetheless. Zana, Amaury, Castrillo, Monique are all good climbers, but they were kept on a very short leash by Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, with Nico Denz and Patrick Gamper having to pace for a lot of the stage, and it was hot conditions. The riders constantly going back to get bidons from the car, keep cool. Wouldn't be a day for Wout van Aert, but eventually the 2 strongest riders, Castrillo and Equipo Confama and Amaury, went up the road, and there was an intermediate sprint where Caden Groves took back 2 points from Van Aert. But again, as I said, you see this finish, it's a fake news climb with the first 8Ks at 5%, where basically the gruppetto forms and teams are jockeying for position on this big road. They're climbing here just at 30Ks an hour on 5%, but then they turn left onto a narrow left turn. It turns into like a concrete slab surface, and that's where the really, really steep gradients are going to start on this climb. UAE positioned their leader, Almeida, the best. Yates was kind of lost off his train in the middle of the pack. Jay Vine and really did a really good job with Sivakov, Almeida, and McNulty on his wheel. Skelmos, the leader for Trek, is just behind them. Roglic positioned well by Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, and Enric Mas knows by now, just follow Roglic in the pack in the Vuelta a España into the base of a really steep climb. Mas has been doing that for 4 years very successfully, and look, it makes a huge difference. Look where Sepp Kuss is starting. I think he's starting next to Yates behind Arensman. Roglic starts third wheel. Almeida started in good position. Positioning into these narrow climbs where it's irregular and then very steep where attacks happen is really, really important. And some riders got it right today. Carapaz did get it right. He started really well, and Sivakov did as well, attacking with Vlasov initially responding. Some riders really got it wrong, like Uiterbrooks, like Yates, like Kuss. And as I said, Vlasov responding, happy days for Red Bull, for Roglic. He's got his domestique working, controlling the race, making it hard, no problem. And in fact, Vlasov maybe responds too hard because the camera changes through the tree line and we see that it's Roglic himself changing Sivakov. So Sivakov attacked very, very hard. Maybe it was intended to be bait to make riders like Roglic or other leaders surge, and then Almeida can ride his own pace, and that's indeed what happens to Kuss. Kuss is really affected by the surges, and Sivakov goes again. But for Roglic, he doesn't mind it really, someone setting a hard tempo. And to be honest, the draft isn't that important on these ramps. And then Roglic gets to work. 4.2Ks to go. He's looking back. He starts to thin out the herd. It's actually McNulty and Sivakov, the first 2 UAE riders in that group. There's Van Aertveld there. Carapaz was there for a bit, and then he starts sliding. Felix Gall looking really good, the best for Decathlon Age de Zel Mondial. But the group starts coming back. Carlos Rodriguez is there, slows down. Kuss there, and Felix Gall goes. The man who, the steeper the better, because he's not the most aerodynamic. And as you can see, Almeida and Yates were off the back. But for one of these two, that's a problem. And for one of these two, that's business as usual. On a steep climb, we know Almeida wants to ride his own pace, but Yates was having a bad day. Tiberi's coming back with Haig in the wheel. Tiberi was pretty good, but just got caught between 2 groups, maybe entered the climb too deep. And Roglic splits this up, chasing after Felix Gall. Enrique Mas on the wheel, and Lennart Van Aertveld, who showed how good he was on the steep sections in Classica San Sebastian last week. He is having the ride of his life. He won the UAE Tour, winning the final stage, the uphill finish to Jebel Hafid. He's also very fast in a finish for a climber. He beat McNulty and Vlasov in a sprint in one of those January Mallorcan races earlier this year. And who knows what the limit is for him, because he's improving so fast. Like Lotto Destiny, they got Van Gils, they got Van Aertveld, they got De Lee. The amount of Belgian talent they produce is outstanding. And, it wouldn't surprise me if Van Aertveld holds on to podium this Vuelta. Mas, though, maybe he could have attacked, because when Van Aert refuses to relay on the tarmac section, Roglic's not going to pull all out for a 2Ks with those guys in his wheel. Van Aert maybe needed to relay, or maybe he couldn't. Mas maybe should have attacked on the steeper section if he had the legs, and perhaps the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe car remembered Van Aert beating Vlasov in that sprint and told Roglic that it wasn't just a lay down misère, that he would win the sprint in that group of three. So Riccitello comes back. Huge performance from the young American. Goal returns, Almeida returns, even Landismo sporting the T-Rex jersey returns, and some attacks fly with Riccitello attacking, Mas marking him, and it's Van Aert who closes it first with Roglic in the wheel. Roglic, I mean, he always, Tirreno last year, Catalunya last year, even when he can't drop everybody, even when he maybe isn't in best shape, he always plays these finishes, these uphill finishes, so well in the last 500 meters or 2 minutes. And he does so perfectly here, where he looks like he's not going to react to Landa's attack. He lets Van Aert jump first, and we're talking fine margins here. Yes, it's an uphill finish, but these guys are sprinting at 35, 40 kilometers an hour, and Roglic gets the wheel of Van Aert. Slight bend, they don't know where the finish is exactly. Van Aert begins to celebrate, and Roglic shoots past him, just like when he beat Alaphilippe in the Liège-Bastogne-Liège finish back in 2020, winning his 13th Vuelta stage, denying Van Aert his first ahead of Almeida, Enric Mas, then Gold, Riccitello, Landa on the same time. Tiberi a bit further back, George Bennett a great performance, and Sivakov in a group of Kuss. Here's what Roglic had to say after the stage.
Worked a lot for this victory.
Yeah, I mean, the team even more than myself. So yeah, I mean, was not actually the main objective of today, but yeah, when you see the guys riding hard in this heat, yeah, happy to finish top.
What did you tell them? That you were confident? Because were you sure that your back would allow you to do this?
No, not really. I mean, nobody asked me. I mean, if they would ask me, probably I wouldn't say it to go so hard or to control it for the victory, but had no option.
Take us through the last kilometer. Were you under control? Have you been surprised by Mikel Landa passing your group?
Yeah, I mean, was tough. Huh? He's steep, and like I said, I mean, for me now, coming a bit back, I felt definitely the back already yeah, after some hours, but yeah, I mean, have to see. I mean, hopefully it doesn't go worse. So yeah, I mean, the goal yeah, we'll keep the same, just to go day by day.
Roglic also goes into the red jersey with Almeida second. Will Red Bull try to give it away to the breakaway this week? I'm not sure, to be honest. Roglic looks pretty good. But until tomorrow, ciao.